Well, it has been slightly over a month since the horrific terrorist incident in Pahalgam, in which 26 innocent Indian civilians were brutally killed by terrorists. Since then, we have seen a flawless Operation Sindoor being carried out by the Narendra Modi government. On May 7th, strikes on terrorist headquarters in Pakistan, and on May 10th, strikes on the Pakistani air bases, and now Operation Sindoor is on a pause but not stopped. Welcome to CNN News 18. This is our new offering, the Reporters Roundtable, where the country's top reporters will come together every week to give you a deeper perspective on what the developments are. Along with me is my senior colleague Pallavi Ghosh and Akash Sharma, who covered the Operation Sindoor right at the ground. Akash was in Jammu and Kashmir for many days, covering this operation very closely. And to start off with Akash, the first day you heard that Operation Sindoor has started, it was an early morning for all of us, I believe. What was for your first impression, how this was going forward?
I was excited, I would say, because at around 1:30 or 2, we got to know that, okay, some sort of action has been taken by India and strikes have been carried out. Our executive editor, in fact, investigation editor Manoj Gupta, in fact, broke this story that how, in fact, we have carried out these strikes. And first reaction was, okay, live pe aa jao. How much time will you take to come on live? I said, okay, 5 minutes, because we were all prepared. We had an early indication that, okay, something is going to happen. We did not know as to when it will happen, but yes, something is going to happen, and that's why we were in Kashmir. I was in Srinagar at that time in my hotel, and when we saw that, okay, strikes are being carried out, and then there would be some sort of retaliation, and then reports of ceasefire violation and a number of things happening simultaneously. Initially, it was my very first time, Aman, and we have seen Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, but
and that was from a distance.
Yeah, exactly. But being the defense correspondent, it was for the very first time that we are covering such a situation where, and it was a multi-domain, I would not say war, but activities between India and Pakistan, and frankly, it has taught you a lot many things. How artillery has played a role, how armored has played a role, what are your capabilities, how India is going to see future from now on. And specifically, if we talk about Pallavi, you see, you have covered government, and you know that how we are pushing Atmanirbharta in the defense sector. So this particular conflict has somewhere shown the dominance of India over Pakistan, and not just on Pakistan, but has somewhere proved that the systems that we are working on are somewhere capable enough to deal with any sort of situation that will arise in future.
Absolutely. And this is also, Pallavi, in a way, a very modern war. We didn't even cross the LOC, but we have the capability now, our Rafales and BrahMos, that we can strike from at any corner of Pakistan from our own territory. So, it's also very drones being used, for example, by Pakistan.
And I think it's a new generation of India, a young India. For them, it's actually the first war, as in war, that they were getting to see and cover. I mean, how many... I was there. I remember I was in the BBC when that Kargil war took place. But there's a new generation of India which has never ever seen it so up close. And also, the social media, and also I think the communication is so much more stronger. So you were getting almost real time kind of a coverage, and that is where I think this was really a testing time for reporters who didn't go there but who were here. So we'll just...
It was a war on social media.
It was a war on social media. But but also, the point is that there's a flip side to a social media or good communication. There's a lot of fear of fake news. We can proudly say CNN News 18 was absolutely bang on, thanks to also you, Akash. But the point is that, was this also kind of a narrative which was coming in from the government that, we have to get our facts right? I mean, I know the PIB fact check unit was very bang on, very good.
Absolutely. I think, Pallavi, one, I think, striking aspect I saw of the Operation Sindoor, number one, of course, the flawless operation. The way we have carried out this operation, there is ample evidence there, for everybody to see. There was a criticism in Balakot and even during Uri that the Congress party raised that, where is the evidence? Did we even destroy anything? But this time, I think, through satellite imagery and through various other means, the government has put across irrefutable evidence on not just how the terrorist infrastructure has been destroyed in Pakistan, but also also the Pakistani air bases. Last time when we have seen cratered Pakistani runways, I think the government was very, very sharp in putting across that evidence. Very quick to put across, to ensure that no Pakistani narrative gained ground. And I remember Akash, when he was in Jammu and Kashmir when all these drones were coming. Yeah. And I remember, there was a lot of, they create panic, see all these red strikings in the air and you get panic, then what is going to happen. So I think the government, even then, the messaging was very correct and the Made in India weapons worked beautifully for India.
I remember I was speaking to Tejinder, who's posted in Jammu, and he was telling me that he had just entered home and his little daughter was very much there. And, she was not scared because she said, I was able to kind of reassure her and communicate to her also that, everything is going to be found. Do you think that DGMO's quick 2 press conferences, they were really good press conferences, the first 2? The army also was this time was upping the game along with the government. The government left it largely to the army.
Also because, Pallavi, you see, when it is about operations, so DGs, DG operations per se, are the people who are taking calls, in fact, who are deciding as to what is happening, who are getting constant reports, minute-to-minute report, what is happening on that particular post, what is the kind of violation. So they know the technicalities behind everything, every question that can come from the other side. So these press conferences, as you rightly pointed out, these were important press conferences, and this was decided after the sort of narrative that we saw from Pakistan. They were saying that, we have one pilot from Indian Air Force, we have destroyed their 2 Rafale, 1 Mirage and 1 Su-30 as well. They were initially saying that we have downed their 6 aircraft. So it was very important to counter the narrative, one, and secondly to, give the sort of technical details that the journalists are, asking. For example, someone is asking on the sort of violation that that is happening in Uri and people getting impacted from it. So DGMO is someone who can give you that sort of detail. So that's why it was required. But Aman, coming back to the question that you asked, drones. In Russia-Ukraine war, in fact, we have seen a lot of drones are being used. But this time around, it was for the very first time that Indians or Pakistani experienced this sort of activity. Yes, Turkish drones were there, Chinese drones were there. But how you are countering those threats, those drones, is very important. And our air defense has played an important role because not just Indian Army but Indian Air Force for that matter, they have got integrated systems, they have got a lot many things, and this time around
I also don't think it's the government was very conscious, don't let the politicians but let the real people do the talking.
Yeah, and I think one senior minister told me this, that there is a lot of talk in the media about how we attacked, how we destroyed the Pakistani air bases, how we destroyed. There's less talk about how we defended. So the defense was as strong as the offense in this regard, and that is, I think, India's great achievement. And even though I think the world is marveling at that how India not only attacked very forcefully, but when it comes to defending, not a single drone, not a single munition, not a single missile of Pakistan could actually hit the target. I know that's a lot of testimony. We speak a lot about the S-400s, of course, which we got from Russia, and Modi government fought the USA to get those S-400s, which is a major achievement. But I think our Made in India weapons, and Akash has reported very extensively on that, the Akash Tir, and they have actually played a phenomenal role. They proved their worth in gold.
Oh, of course, and that's why I mentioned that how Modi government has focused on Atmanirbharta. S-400, yes, of course, it has played a crucial role, but then Akash Tir, and then we have Command and Control Center of Indian Air Force. There is an integration between Indian Army and Air Force, and it was somewhere we are working on synergy, we are working on theatre commands, but till now we don't have theatre command in reality. But this time, this operation has somewhere proved, Pallavi, that how forces can work together. And journalists like us, for example, I cover Defense Ministry, I know that there is a difference between Air Force, the sort of equipments that they're using, and the sort of equipments that Army is using.
Thanks to you, now even we know.
So there is an integration. There was an integration, in fact, this time, and they defended, their installations collectively. So it was a great experience, and being a reporter, I was quite satisfied with the sort of coverage that we had on CNN News 18 at least.
One point I want to bring in, Pallavi, also on that, the messaging of this entire operation, now the coinage of the term Operation Sindoor, I believe, was coined himself by the Prime Minister, because he wanted also to send a global message that, you targeted these targeted killings which were carried out, you tried to wipe out the Sindoor of Hindu women, and we will go and wipe out your existence now in Pakistan. And similarly, two women officers in the first 2 press conferences, one from the Army, one from the Air Force. Pallavi, that was also very significant messaging to answer Pakistan that, you tried to sow some communal divide in India, but we have thwarted it completely.
And I like the way the Foreign Secretary, when he did a first press conference at the National Media Center, where we were all there early in the morning, he very, very casually, but handed over the mic, and the rest of the talking was done by these two women officers sitting there, and they were very to the point, very obviously briefed, and they were very precise. And I was a little menacing to the world outside, to Pakistanis also, that you touch, and because see, what Pahalgam terror attack stands out, unfortunately, is the men being killed in front of their wives. And you know, they were telling us horrific stories here. I mean, I remember one of those women who lost her husband said, you know, they just shot him point blank and all his parts were on my lap. You know, that is where it hurts, you know. I mean, you break the man of the house in front of a woman, and that's where the Operation Sindoor actually came in from. And it's just as well that, you know, there were women who've been involved in Operation Sindoor. I mean, if this is not women empowerment or Nari Shakti, then what is?
You know, initially there were reports that, you know, women pilot were not there, but then, you know, Aman has reported yesterday that how they were a very part of the entire Operation Sindoor. I remember one officer was categorically named by the, you know, social media handles based in Pakistan, that how, you know, she is with us. She was, in fact, in one Rafale that has been shot down by Pakistani forces, and now I called the officer. I said, are you all right? And she confirmed that, yes, I'm all right, and we were a very part of the entire operation. But thankfully, you know, nothing happened to our pilots. And as far as the claims are concerned, so government has clarified, you know, that as far as collateral damage is concerned, so it was negligible, Pallavi. I have visited several military stations, in fact, Udhampur for that matter. They tried, you know, not just drones, but missiles as well. In fact, Fatah rocket, you know, they very much fired the Fatah rocket. Artillery they were using. More than 11,000 or 12,000 rounds were received only in 16 corps, that is Jammu area, the subdivision, Jammu subdivision. From our side, our troops are motivated, and for the very first time I have seen it on ground. You know, there are shells that are received by the Indian posts, and these are failed attempts because nothing sort of, you know, destruction happened on our side. I have seen the intact posts. You know, I visited one forward location where, you know, just a few months back I visited there, and I saw that Pakistani post is there, very much there, you know.
I want to interrupt you here. Just tell me one thing, because you were there in that ground zero, and that is a time when Rahul Gandhi started asking ki kitne mare hamare. How, I mean, we don't want to take name, but how did the armed forces, did they even react to you off record? Do you think they feel bad about when politicians start saying this? Because it's a question of morale also, no?
So, frankly, Pallavi, those who are involved in the operations, they don't care about political comments, one. And I have had a word with several army officers. They say that as far as our casualties are concerned, so no, it has been happening. Even in the terrorist attack, we are losing our men. This time around also, we lost our 5 soldiers. I would not go into details, but, you know, there are some sort of technical details as to how we, you know, lose those men. But as far as forces are concerned, so they are very professional in their approach. They know the repercussions of these sort of operations, and they think that it was required. Pallavi, you see, we have been seeing terrorist attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. In 2023, we have seen a number of attacks in south of Peer Panjal range, that is Jammu, in Rajouri and Poonch area. And Poonch is one area where you have, you know, villages in the foothill, where Pakistanis are sitting at the top, and they can directly see your villages. And that's the reason why Poonch was affected and in fact impacted the most. You know, they are firing on civilian population. And from Indian Army side, they were very categorically told that you don't have to fire, you don't have to target civilians. And that is the difference, Aman, when we talk about Pakistani Army and Indian Army.
Absolutely. And I think to wrap it up in the end, I think we would also credit the political leadership of Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, because the rules of the you know, engagement with Pakistan have now completely changed. The Prime Minister, we have seen him speak very aggressively at the Adampur Air Base, and then in Bikaner a couple of days back when he said that you know, मेरी रगों में गरम सिंदूर दौड़ रहा है और सिंदूर जब बारूद बनता है तो सारी दुनिया देखती है कि उसका क्या नतीजा होता है.
And also the fact that he did not get engaged into a political spat with the opposition parties. That was that's how your statesman speaks like. You
Absolutely, he directed.
But I wish I could say the same about some within the Congress party. They were like all over. They were like all over, जिसको जो मन में आ रहा है, and then, you know, like they are making comments.
Yeah, Pallavi, I think the Prime Minister's messaging was also, I think, directly to the armed forces and to the people of India. No, he's clearly now saying that, look, we have new normals with Pakistan now, the 3 new normals, that we won't differentiate between Pakistan and terrorism. We will strike you, we will treat it as an act of war if we see another terror attack, and we will not resume the Indus Water Treaty. So, you know, खून और पानी एक साथ नहीं बहेगा. So, I think the Prime Minister has given very, very strong, you know, messaging in this entire, and I think the people of the country also trust the Prime Minister, his leadership, and many privately, I have spoken to, you must have also spoken to people who feel that India is safe under Modi. That's a general feeling, and this, I think this conflict has actually proven that, and politically it's of course a big message. But I don't think Mr. Modi is looking at politics in this. Modi is looking more
and
for rightly so. He's looking more at national interest and national security. So we'll be back next
and I want
week.
to ask a quick thing.
Last comment.
Do you guys get to sleep well in the night? Because I am in this constant fear that phone bajega, फिर से कुछ होगा.
मैं नहीं सो पाया.
Are you sleeping well?
No,
Okay, Akash,
no, we are always. I think I am also getting this 2 baje phone bajne wala, because as PM has said, the operation was
I did not sleep for at least 7 days.
He didn't sleep for
पल्लवी, एक बात है कि इंडिया को ये लगता है कि पाकिस्तान की इतनी बेइज्जती हुई है, पाकिस्तान बीन so badly humiliated that it may not stay quiet for long. कुछ तो होगा.
But
कुछ
India
तो
is
होगा,
awake,
but
and so are we as journalists.
India is well prepared, so are we are awake as journalists, and so this is a great discussion here with my 2 fellow colleagues, and we'll try and bring it to you every week. The Reporters Roundtable on CNN News 18. Thank you so much for joining us.